Hello, I'm Matt, your host here at Three Skulls Tavern, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. This is not a planned stream like I usually do on Thursday and Sunday nights. This is something a little different. It's going to be a shorter video than normal, but the idea here is that, as you can see on the screen here, there's this thing called the National Game Design Month, and this takes place every November, so it's the 2nd of November right now. So I'm going to be joining it, and I've kind of probably shouldn't. I have quite a few projects on my plate, but I've given myself some quite strict constraints, and those constraints are I'm only going to work on this on these streams. So I'm going to make like a series here on the show of me creating a game in hopefully 29 days. So by the target is by the end of November to have created this game. I'm going to create something fairly small and rules light. It won't be play tested. It's going to be really just as light as possible, and that's the plan. Now I'm limiting myself to 1 hour videos every stream, and I'm going to be trying to stream every day. It might be I miss a day or two or three through the month. If that's the case, that's fine. I will be reducing the amount of time that I've got to make the game. I'm not going to try and catch that up again. And the reason I'm saying that is because this is not my main focus. I actually have a commission for another game that I am currently working on in between all my other projects, including the ones I'm sharing on the show. I'm not really allowed to talk about it much, but you may have heard about it. And that game is devoting almost all of my game development time to. And I'm going to continue to do that through this month as well. But I also want to use this game design month to create some small project on the side, which shouldn't detract from the other project I'm working on, and really, yeah, just be there for a bit of change of pace. I can't, yeah. Usually, like when I get into a groove, I'm usually for the other project I'm working on, I'm usually working at that solidly for a good 3-4 hours. Sometimes I'm not, and I'm choosing this time at like in the morning. Right now it's 10, just gone 10 a.m. 10 a.m. German time, and if I kind of stick to this time roughly every week, this is when my son is in kindergarten during the week, and normally I'm working on my other project in the evenings after my son's gone to bed. My son is 5 years old, by the way, in case you're wondering, like if he's a teenager or something. So yeah, this shouldn't really interfere with that other project. I might not be able to stream at 10 o'clock every morning. I might be streaming really early in the morning, like 5 a.m. local time. I have a day job as well, so 2 days a week I go to a school and do stuff at a school. So during those days, I obviously can't stream at 10 a.m. because I'll be working. So I'll find another time during the morning to try and stream these. So the idea here isn't necessarily to have live chat and that sort of community engagement. In fact, you'll notice if you're joining this live, that live chat is switched off. That's because I've switched these videos to be kid friendly, so I'm not going to be swearing. And a part of YouTube's rules for kid friendly videos is that live chat is disabled. So there won't be any live chat. I'm not really going to be promoting these when I'm going live on social media, because that just eats into my time in the mornings. I'm literally just going to jump on. I'm going to jump into a stream and I'm going to start. So if you're a subscriber to this channel and you've got the little bell switched on, you'll get a little alert that I'm going live if you want to follow along. I don't necessarily think that there will probably be many people following along, but I'm leaving that option available. And by live streaming, it means I also don't create an extra time burden on myself for editing videos afterwards, which is something I did consider, to maybe like edit them down to like 30 or 45 minutes, something like that. That takes a lot of time to edit. So literally this is just going to be me live for roughly an hour every day this month, or as many days this month as I can manage. And I'm going to be trying to create a game. So that's the little blurb. This page here is the National Game Design Month page. I mean, there are rules for it, and that's all well and good. The website here is NagaDemon, so National Game Design Month.org. So nagademon.org. So if you want to check it out, you want to look at the rules. At the bottom here, it says the rules of NagaDemon. Again, I'm using this for inspiration. I'm not necessarily going to be trying to stick to what these rules are, but I'll read them out anyway. So the rules are: create the game in November. So you can't have it based on anything that you've done together. The whole thing has to be put together during the month. You have to play the game in November. Okay, so that's the thing. So you actually have to play it at least once. So I might actually be trying to do that at some point before the end of the month, just so I'm kind of ticking all the boxes. Talk about your experience. So talk about what you did, share with others, blog, tell everyone how awesome you did. I'm doing that right now with live streaming, so that's all good. And if you've done the above 3 things, there's no judges, ballots, secret panels, there's no awards, anything like this. If you follow those steps through the month, then you win. And I mean, the main thing here is to create the game, right? So I mean, there's not much to it. It's basically just say, spend the month to focus on a game and write it. And part of the reason I'm doing this is because the other game I'm working on is close to completion. In fact, it's a little bit later than I wanted it to be, this commission game. And I'm also targeting to have that game finished by the end of the month too. So by setting myself a kind of public thing like this, I'm also kicking myself to it's kid friendly. I have to remember that. I'm also kind of setting myself the target, or I'm setting myself the challenge of also creating this other game. So this is really going to be all about setting myself a target and trying to stick to it. Okay, so I'm done talking about the reason for it. Let's talk about the game itself. I've had a little think about it this morning about what I want to do. There are several things on my plate that I kind of want to tackle. So I'm going to open up. Actually, I'm not going to open up. I'll just talk through it. So if you've watched any of my other dev diaries, you'll know that I've been working on Year Zero Mini. That was less than a week ago. I did a stream about that where I'm basically trying to get it to version 1.0. I am actually adding a few more bits to it, so it's gonna, what I've done so far isn't quite there yet. I'm going to expand it slightly, increase the page count. But that's all well and good. That's actually being put now on the back burner to focus on this. Pitchfork, I'm also going to be putting on the back burner to focus on this. And so I'm like I've always been doing, I'm only focusing on 2 games. And that's this game right here, which is very, very limited kind of development or design time by limiting it just to these streams, and the other big commission that I'm working on. So in Year Zero Mini is a framework for creating any kind of game you want in any kind of setting, right? And one of the things I allude to at the back of that, in like the last page of Year Zero Mini, is creating a kids version of the Year Zero engine. Specifically, I mean, Year Zero Mini is already a really light framework, but it's not exactly kid friendly. There are lots of moving parts. There is a lot of text. Now the text isn't a problem necessarily, but I do want it to be a book that can be read by kids who are still in like primary school. So sort of from the 8-year-old range, I guess, going up, a 7, 8, 9-year-old range. So the language needs to be kept relatively simple so they can read it. The font needs to be fairly simple. There's a bunch of things I'll be talking. I'm kind of just blurting out what I want here, but this is what I'm going to work on. I'm going to work on a kids version of Year Zero Mini this month. It's going to be a complete standalone game, so I will be referencing some of the stuff I've written for Year Zero Mini, but it's actually going to be its own thing. And the one thing I've really been struggling with to come up with is, do I want to have a game, this like generic Year Zero Kids, as I'm calling it, like the working title, do I want to have it as this lightweight thing where I'm not really kind of tying a setting to it? Or do I want to have something a little bit more focused where I'm actually presenting a setting alongside the rules, but at the same time keeping the rules so simple that if you wanted to strip the setting out and run it in any other setting you wanted, you could absolutely do that without any issues. And it's that second thing I'm wanting to do, because I think it gives the game a little bit more flavor. It makes it stand out a little bit more. And really, I will be providing rules then that are generic in a way, even though they will be tailored to whatever the setting is I'm working on. And it means I can release like in a page in the appendix at the back on how to tweak this, whatever game I create, how I can tweak it to be valid for any other genre or setting, more or less, like one suitable for kids. So that's the plan. So I'm going to now jump into, go here and go, whoops. Now I'm just worried that there might be some, I'm going to my Google Docs, and I'm just worried because I have a bunch of different Google accounts for different project things I'm working on, and I don't want to flash up the the Google document that is the kind of secret one that I'm working on that I'm probably not supposed to be talking about very much. But this is okay because this then is this is my Three Skulls Tavern account here. So yeah, everything in here is suitable to be seen on this channel. So that's fine. So I'm going to create a new document here in Google Documents. I'm going to set the in fact, I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm going to think about I'll do layout later, I think. I'm going to do layout later. I had an idea. Well, this is something I need to think about. I'm going to start here. I'm going to start here in Google Documents. I'm going to start putting down my design goals in a Google document here, so I can easily reference it. I can add to it. I can tweak it, etc. fairly quickly and easily. But what I was thinking about doing was actually creating the game in my desktop publisher. So creating it here in Affinity Publisher as I go. So by the end, as soon as I'm done, the game is already laid out and ready to go. And that is an option. However, what I want is I want to have a finished game at the end of this that other people can access, play, and comment on. And for that, I think it's very, very important to have a living document. And that's where Google Documents is great for this, because with a Google document, I can share it and people can go in and access it and yeah, leave their comments and make suggestions and things like that. Okay, so I think I'm going to close down Affinity Publisher here. I'm not going to use it for now. After this month is finished, maybe I'll come back and do the layout for it. I'm still going to be looking at layout and stuff, but this will be an art. I'm not going to look at art. I'm not going to be looking at layout or assets or anything like that. I'm going to tell myself not to do that. So I'm going to start putting stuff in here. So we're going to say NagaDemon Project 2020. So here are the design goals. First design goal is lightweight, kid-friendly game. Easy to read for kids. So no fancy vocabulary. I'm saying fancy, but not advanced. So it needs to be easy to read for kids. Okay, these are design goals. Like the stuff I have been talking about previously are all other little bits like no artwork, that sort of thing. So we're going to say design goals / constraints. No, we're going to put constraints somewhere else. I'm going to put that down here a little bit lower. Constraints are keep it to Google Docs. Don't open Affinity Publisher. No time wasting with layout or art or assets or art. That can come later. So the other thing is have a game finished and ready for playtesting by the end of the month. Have a game finished, comma, ready for playtesting, and on DriveThruRPG by the end of the month. No. I don't want it on DriveThruRPG. I want it here. So have a game finished and ready for playtesting by the end of the month. Okay. So that's a big goal. I'm going to put that at the top here. Lightweight, kid-friendly game based on Year Zero Mini. Easy to read for kids. No fancy vocab. What are some other goals then? So I've been thinking about this a little bit this morning as well, like in the shower and stuff, as I've been eating breakfast and thinking about like what is it exactly I want. I want this to be a co-op game. So I'm going to be building in co-op. Everything about this game is going to be from a player-facing perspective. So there will be no GMs rolling for enemies. Co-op game, and then in brackets, solo if time allows. Now, I don't think solo games are all that easy for, like rules-wise, aren't that easy for kids. But that could be a really good challenge, I think, to create something that an older kid, who's maybe 8, 9, 10, whatever, can access some really easy-to-read rules and be running with it. But for the start, we're going to go with co-op. And the co-op thing is there's no GM. You're kind of doing everything together. When you're rolling the dice, depending on what you're doing, how well you do on the dice is going to determine, what happens. We're going to try and keep the story moving forward as much as possible. So, co-op games, something I really want to have. What else? I want to use a wild die. Also for random tables. Also graphic for random tables. And I know I've said I don't want to waste any time with layout, assets, or art. For now, I'm going to be doing standard lists, numbered lists in this Google document. So it'll say like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 21, 22. So the standard thing for like a D66 table. But how I actually want to present it eventually is I'm going to have this wild die, which is going to come into play on every roll. And I want this wild die to be used for the D66 tables, and it will be a graphic thing. So you roll 2 dice. One of them is, so for example, let's say these are the wild die, right? I've got a yellow dice, and I've got a yellow die and a blue die, right? And I would basically be saying the wild die is always light colored, and all the other dice should be darker than the wild die. Or I mean, you could swap it around, but that's kind of what I'm gonna be writing in there. And in terms of the graphics, eventually I'm going to be doing, it's going to be black and white. I don't want to waste any time with color or anything like that. It's going to be a white die graphic and a black die graphic. And for all of the tables, it's going to be for like the D66 table, it's literally going to be a dice graphic that'll be like that. Swap that around. So the wild die is your tens unit, and the dark die is your ones digit. So it'd be like, this would be 11, this would be 12, etc. And that would actually be like little icons for each of the table results. And that way, it's very obvious what a D60 table is all about. It's easy for kids of any age, should be easy for any kids of any age to roll 2 dice, the 2 different dice, and see what the result is. And at the same time, I'm also teaching what a D66 table is to kids as well, which is important if they want to graduate up to any of the other Year Zero games, which all have lots of tables in them. Okay, so I want the wild die to be a part of it. We'll talk about how I'm gonna use that later in a different video, probably, because I'm not gonna have time. This video is all about planning for this. So wild die, that's a big one. No skills, but that's Year Zero Mini doesn't have skills anyway. So, in fact, I'm going to bring up my Year Zero Mini PDF, the latest version, which I've been working on, which is, whoops. Of course, I'm opening it in Affinity accidentally. That's fine. Here, this bit here, simplifying for kids. So, Year Zero Mini was originally written to be a kid-friendly, lightweight game system, and that's all well and good, but it's grown beyond that. So here's what I was originally thinking, and these are some of the things I really wanted to keep. And one of them is renaming the attributes to strong, fast, smart, and friendly, which is the equivalent of strength, agility, wits, and empathy. But most kids, at least my son, when he was kind of 3 or 4, I think just as after he was 4, I did like a little like mini RPG with him. It was more LARP than RPG, but we did use dice. But basically I've been playing pretend a lot anyway. I added dice into the mix, and I added these 4 attributes, and he instantly could figure out what they were all about, because I mean he knows what strong means, he knows what fast means, he knows what smart means. And I think I might have actually used clever rather than smart, so we'll think about the terminology there. Clever is maybe a little bit of a more evocative word than smart in terms of like what you're using it for, because you can use, because you would use clever in other circumstances. It's a little bit more open-ended, and a little bit more suited for the type of adventures that people play in role-playing games, I think. And anything that has to do with smart, you can also use with clever. So anyway, so we're probably going to put clever in here. In fact, I'm gonna change it right now in my years here mini document. I'm changing advancement, so you still need failures, but you go up your current rank. I'm actually probably going to remove advancement completely and tying it to your failures. And what I'm going to do instead is we're probably going to have like a advance after every session at some rate. So you get a number of advancement points or experience points, whatever I'm going to call them, after every session. So I'm going to stick that in there right now into my design goals. So advancement, no failure tracking. Instead, improve after every session. Remember, this is for kids, right? And while failure is interesting, because it's going to be co-op, the failure is going to be moving the story forward. So that's fine. And I mean, that happens anyway. It should be happening anyway also in Year Zero Mini, because every failure comes with a complication. But in this one, I really want the advancement to be as lightweight as possible, so it's easy for any kids to be able to learn that. And if you think of like rewarding behavior in kids, a lot of some people use like a gold star system, or you have like a blackboard or a whiteboard or something on your fridge where you can basically say, you know, every time you do something, we're going to put a little check mark in a box, and once it fills up to 10 boxes, you know, for doing good behavior. So kind of like encouraging kids to have you know, to have good habits. You know, they get like a little reward or something. This is a similar concept, because that concept is very easy for kids to grasp, especially in my experience as a father, as a parent. We've done that on a couple of occasions with my son, specifically with correcting some bad behaviors, and it did work. Like, he had that goal in his mind. He knew if he messed up, then we'd be going back to stage 1 even. So he had some tantrums along when it was starting, but he quickly learned that, you know, getting to that 10th box, which had boxes we were ticking, meant he was going to be getting a present. And we told him what the present was going to be, or we kind of gave him the option to pick one. Anyway, I'm going down the parenting trap here. Long story short, it works for kids, I think, up to about age 3 to figure out, like, you have a track, and when you get to the end of it, something good happens. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of having a little, like, experience track at the bottom, and every session you tick it off, and once you get to a certain number, maybe 3, after you've ticked 3, 4, 5, something like that, then you get to put one of your stats up. And they're only going to be attributes. There aren't going to be any skills or anything like that, or talents, or whatever you want to call them. So, advancement, no failure tracking. Instead, improve after every session, or instead, get an advance after every session. And we're going to say increase an attribute after X advances. So, advancement is a big thing I wanted to talk about here, because that's important. Removing all character traits other than concept and asset. So we're going to go with that as well. So we've got here no traits other than concept and asset, which we're going to be renaming as well, to be renamed. Okay. I'm just going to change the layout here, because it's in letter for some reason. Everything's in inches. I don't know why it's doing this, but it should be at A5. And we're going to page setup. I'm going to set this as the default. There we go. Okay, so there's the goals. Yeah. Ignore equipment and wealth. Not sure about that. we'll think about that. That's something to think about. Yeah. Add drawing boxes for the character and asset. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'll put that in there anyway. Add boxes for character art and asset for on the character sheet. Kids love to draw. In my experience anyway. Keep trauma, but remove the scar and death mechanic. So, yeah, we're going to look at trauma. So we need to look at trauma. Keep trauma. Keep, but tweak trauma. And I'm going to put in here single track. No penalties. Yeah. Single health track. No penalties. I don't really want to do a mental stress for a kids game. I'm going to keep it fairly OSR-ish, but I'm going to call it, I'm not going to call it health. I'm going to call it some, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. It needs to be a word that kids are going to understand as well. I think of things like Legend of Zelda, which was one of the first video games I played. No, that's not quite true. But yeah, it was a video game I played when I was a kid. The original, and the heart's kind of going up, and every time you get hit with a heart, you get lower and lower, and eventually that, I mean, it's very simplistic. It's basically HP. I don't really want that going up necessarily, but maybe it does. Maybe it's based on strong or something. It's equal to your strong stat. However I'm going to do it, that's kind of how I want to play it. Yeah. So it might even be considered like a fifth track. In fact, what I might do is, no, we're going to have two tracks. We're going to have two tracks. Two tracks. We're going to have bravery and whatever health I'm going to call. I don't like health as a word, but no, we're not going to call it brave. We're going to call it brave, and we're going to call it, what's the word for healthy? I'm going to open a thesaurus very quickly just to... Oh, tough is good, but fresh? I like tough, kind of. I like tough. You're tough. You're not as tough when you keep getting hit. Let's click on tough very quickly as an adjective. You know what? I'm not going to waste time on this right now. We're going to call it healthy and brave. And the idea here is that if something is going to scare you, your brave goes down. So your bravery goes down. So I'm using adjectives for everything, like the doing words. These ones can probably be actually health and bravery. So that sets them apart from the doing verbs, the verbs of the actions. So we're talking about strong, roll strong, roll quick, fast. Sorry, they're not verbs, they're not action verbs. They're action words. They're descriptors, so adjectives. Yeah, a verb would be something like attack or fight or something like that. I don't want to do that. So the adjectives, I guess, like roll strong. That's kind of a PBTA thing, a Powered by the Apocalypse thing, but I'm okay with that for now. And by keeping these nouns, it separates them a bit. So however I'm going to call them, I think I'm okay keeping the health tracks or the trauma tracks as nouns. So 2 tracks, health and bravery. I think that's okay. I'm going to just add above it 4 attributes. We're going to have strong, fast, clever, and friendly. Two trauma tracks. I don't know, I'm always capitalizing. It's because I live in Germany and everything that's a noun gets capitalized here. 2 trauma tracks, health and bravery. Okay. All right, I think I'm nearly done with kind of thinking about this stuff. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna close that. I'm not gonna touch it again. So now what's the idea here? So these are kind of my main goals, right? So some of these I've already kind of laid out in my document for Year Zero Mini. I'm not sure about ignoring equipment and wealth, but maybe they can be ignored. Wealth, if I use it, is going to be. We'll talk about that. But here's what I'm actually going to be doing. So we're going to look at now, setting ideas. And I actually have a very specific thing in mind here, and there's a reason for this, and that is I'm planning to do a Christmas game with my wife, my sister, and my sister-in-law at Christmas time. We've already played last Christmas. We played a prototype for Year Zero Mini, which was for Year Zero Light, I should say, but was also testing some of the stuff from Year Zero Mini. And it was a mouse game. So I basically was looking at Mouse Ritter, which had come out like a month before, for a lot of the tables and a lot of that sort of thing for some inspiration. But mechanically, I was doing basically Year Zero Light prototype. I didn't really like the prototype. There were some things I was trying out, which in the end I didn't really like how they worked. So I'm not going to be using that. But that whole concept was really great. And they're back on board this Christmas for me to run another mouse game. So there'll be 3 players plus me. And if I do create this so it's co-op, that means I can play with them. We don't need to, we don't need me to GM. And by doing it so that there's 0 prep. In fact, I'll put that here, co-op game. And next to that, we're going to say 0 prep. So, I'm thinking of doing a mouse game. I'm already planning a game called Mouse Punk. That is not going to be Year Zero Mini or Year Zero Light. It's going to be a bit more of a fully featured Year Zero engine game. So that's going to be something separate. That's also going to be pretty dark and gritty. It's post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max. This I want to be a bit more kid-friendly, and for that, I'm tapping into 2 works of fiction which I really enjoyed both growing up and when I was a little bit older, and those are the Redwall series and Mouse Guard. Both of them very, very evocative, but I really want to tap into the mouse element of this. I know Mouse Ritter already exists. I really love Mouse Ritter. It's going to be released in like the new book edition in like a week or so, next week in fact. And I'll be buying that. I'm really excited about that. I probably will be trying to play that as well. But it's also I wouldn't call it a kid-friendly game. I think if you have an adult as a GM or older kids, they could definitely play it. But it's not a game that I would play with my 5-year-old, for example. There's a little bit too much to track, I think. It's a good game, I think, for older kids, like from the age of maybe 10 upwards. I mean, your mileage will of course vary depending on how many role-playing, like how early you've started your kids role-playing and stuff. I only have the one kid, he's 5, and we've not really done much yet, so I wouldn't start with Into the Odd necessarily, but this is kind of what I'm planning here. I want this to be really simple. I want there to be some options. If I can put this with the goals, is some options to add complexity for older players. So for example, equipment, health, death, etc. Characters can't die. Yeah, I'm not gonna have the characters die in this. Not necessarily, but I'll have an option maybe there for death to be an option. Okay. Also, one thing for the design goals is to make it so that it can be upgraded to Year Zero Mini without any major issues. So I'm gonna call it sideways compatible. So that not backwards compatible or future compatible or anything like any of those kind of terms. I want this to be so you can make it sideways compatible. Can be upgraded to Year Zero Mini, and Year Zero Mini can be downgraded without any issues. So that's a very, very big goal, actually. I'm going to put that right up near the top. Right under here. Lightweight, kid-friendly, compatible. Make it sideways. So I'm going to be making that a part of this, based on Year Zero Mini, but make it sideways compatible. So that, again, really big design goal here. So my idea is to make a mouse game based in a fantasy world without people. Inspirations. Redwall. Mouse Guard. I'm sure there's other ones. Those are the two that I've read that I'm very familiar with. So yeah, neither of those games have anything to do with actual people. They're all fantasy worlds with, that sort of thing. Redwall isn't about mice. Redwall is about woodland creatures. And so there are mice who are protagonists in Redwall. But there are also badgers and, all types of sort of standard European / North American woodland creatures. So yeah, those are kind of the two main influences I'm looking at here in terms of setting. So I'll be looking at those. I think Root, the board game, and there's an RPG out as well, is similar as well. I don't know how much world building. I don't actually own Root. I know that there was a tabletop role-playing edition of it that came out based on the board game. I don't have the board game either, but I might be picking it up in PDF. Just have a look at it for maybe a little bit of inspiration or something. I might not actually. I also want to look. So I'm gonna put in here for inspiration. I'm gonna put here Mouse Ritter. Because it is a game that is really inspiring me to do my own mouse game, which I started a year ago, and in fact I played that game sort of inspired by Mouse Ritter when it first came out as well. So Mouse Ritter is a big inspiration. I had already bought Mouse Guard, the second edition, both the box set and the hardback version, intending to play a mouse game with my son. And when it arrived and I started devouring the rules, I realized it's too complex for a 5-year-old who at the time was 4. Mouse Ritter came along and I was like, oh, this might be it. It was free, it's lightweight, and it's almost right, but not, again, my son's not quite there yet. So yeah, Mouse Ritter is very much inspirational when it comes to how it's presented, how it's laid out, how a lot of the rules and like how it works with those sorts of things. But and in fact, the setting is kind of similar, although it is based in like a human world, so not quite the same thing. But yeah, so I'm gonna do a mouse game. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I've been getting at. The other idea I had was to do a Star Wars spin-off. Because my son loves Star Wars. He's never watched a Star Wars film. He has watched the Lego Freemaker TV series on Disney Plus, and he loves it. He's got Star Wars Lego, which he loves playing with. He's constantly asking me, anyway, he's obsessed with Star Wars, although he's never seen a film. Yeah, and I think if I made a Star Wars spin-off, that's a game I could play test with my son, because I'm playing with my son. I'm playing Star Wars Pretend with the Lego and everything with my son practically every day anyway. So doing a Star Wars spin-off is something that he would instantly be, he'd be buying into, and it'd be very easy to play test with. So that's another option. I would need to kind of, because of IP reasons, I'd have to rename it something else, but it would basically be Star Wars in all but name. So that's the second option to think about. And other than that, like, I don't want to do a fantasy one. If you want a fantasy one, then you can play something like Hero Kids, which is designed for kids aged 4 to 10. I mean, this is exactly the sort of the same demographic I'm reaching for. I have the print version 1.0. I've just checked it today, and there's a version 3.0 out now. So I might actually be buying a print copy, like updating my print copy to version 3.0. But anyway, Hero Kids is a really cool little fantasy game. They do have a space, like sci-fi spin-off of it. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Space Kids or something like that. So I'm kind of thinking, like, if I was to do the Star Wars spin-off, there's kind of already a game that taps into that, which, I'm aiming more for something a little bit different here. So why should people play this game instead of another one? So if I just make another fantasy kid spin-off, I'm really competing with what's kind of already an established market. Whereas if I create a mouse game for kids, there isn't really, that I'm aware of, there isn't really anything that I'm aware of that kind of ticks that box. So I'm hopefully kind of targeting a little niche area, which means more people play it, play test it, etc. And if I do ever want to sell this, it means I'm hopefully in a niche which might earn me a tiny bit of money. I don't expect it to be extremely popular or anything like that, but we'll see. So the Star Wars spinoff is something I'm really interested in. I might even use the rules I'm coming up with here for a Star Wars game just to test some of them out. So just reskin the setting to Star Wars to test them with my son. But I certainly would be playing this at Christmas time with my wife, my sister, and my sister-in-law. So that's it. That's the decision. I'm going to go with mouse. So I'm going to underline here. It's going to be a mouse game. I'm going to make it bold. And yeah. If you're watching this, feel free to leave comments down below if you think there's some really interesting setting ideas suitable for 4 to, I guess, looking at Hero Kids, 4 to 10-year-olds. Yeah, that might be worth considering that aren't really covered at the moment. Or like maybe there's a setting you really like, you really want to play with your kids, but nothing really exists for that. Now, the idea here is that this is going to be so generic that you can strip the setting out and put something else in fairly easily. And in fact, I might even do some like expansions for it, which basically ideally are just like a few pages or a couple of pages or whatever, however I'm going to do it, of setting information, but you just use the rules from the main game to run it, or they might be standalone. I don't know. So that could be something I might do in the future anyway. So give me some ideas, but I think I'm going to stick with the mouse game because I want to run something at Christmas anyway. And I've promised a mouse game, and by keeping this to a mouse setting means I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. I don't have to redo anything at Christmas time to run that with my family. So that's it for my goals, my kind of design goals and stuff. So in terms of what I'm going to call it, I'm going to call it then. I'm probably just going to tap into the idea I had previously before I decided on Mousepunk. I was calling my mouse game Mäuschen. Which here in Germany means little mouse. And it's pronounced moist, like moist without the T, and then hien, like people can probably say hien, moist hien. It's like a hien. If I do that, people can say hin or hein. Anyway. Yeah, because it's like hyena. Moist hien. Anyway, it's hien. It's like think of like the ch, because it's basically like this. This is how this. It's not Mauschen, it's mouse hien, and this hien. Anyway, I don't want to do German lessons, but that's what I want to call it, and yeah. So Project Mäuschen, and I might change that because being inspired by Mausritter as well. It is a little bit on the nose giving this a German title because Mausritter is a German word meaning mouse knight. And yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that. So we're going to call it Project Mäuschen for now because that's just a name I quite liked, which kind of works. And I mean, I could keep it Germanic, and because I'm setting this in a fantasy world, which is all animals. And so I could keep everything to being very German flavored. So, there's all the names that are in there are German names. I'm already doing that a little bit with Pitchfork, so I could lean into some of the tables I've done for Pitchfork for that. The name generators can all be kind of Germanic as well. So you've got like Fritz and, Anna, and there's Anna's. I mean, a lot of German names are also English names, but just really come up with names that are popular or used here in Germany that are also easy for English people to pronounce. So it wouldn't necessarily be words like Jörg or, because people probably, Anyway. So if I call it Mäuschen, I'm probably going to lean into the Germanic angle for the flavor. But if I call it something else, like mouse something, we'll see. We'll see what we're going to call it. But for now, I'm going to call it Project Mäuschen. So we're going to put this on a new page, actually, and we're going to get started. We're going to start looking at an outline. I've got about 15 minutes left, so let's see how much of an outline I can do. So we're going to do... First section is going to be an introduction. I'm going to make it short. Second one is going to be your mouse. Third one is going to be the rules. Fourth one is going to be... what else do I need? Critters, so bestiary type of thing. After the rules, we're going to put in stuff. I'm not sure critters is a great word. Beasts. I'm already thinking about this. Like, Moisien is already... It's being too clever for a 4 or 5-year-old in an English-speaking part of the world. They're going to struggle with the name of the game anyway, so that's probably not a good idea. The other option is to give it a name, like lean into Redwall and kind of emphasize that it's adjacent to Redwall, and come up with a name like, I don't know, Grunwald, Green Forest or Greenwood. Anyway, we're gonna call it Moisien from now. We're gonna rename it. So we'll put this under goals. No, we're gonna make it here at the bottom here. We're gonna make a to-do list. And the to-do list is going to start with come up with an English name. Mouse Year Zero. Which of course is the same acronym as Mutant Year Zero, so I won't be doing that. But yeah, I like three letter acronyms for shortening it, and people use them all the time when they're talking about it. So that could be a good way to come up with a clever 3-letter acronym for it to do with mice. But we'll think about that. So to do this, come up with the English name. Right. So beasts. Then we've got. One thing I definitely want are oracles, but we're going to rename that. That's going to be almost like an appendix. The last thing in the book will be these oracles, and I'm leaning into Ironsworn for that. So it's not going to be as complex, anywhere near as complex as Ironsworn, obviously, but I do want to have prompts to, story prompts. So we might call them story ideas. Story helpers. So, what else do we need? We need a solo adventure, which may or may not happen. We're going to call this optional. A solo, choose your own adventure style. Solo adventure, choose your own, is it called? Choose your own adventure? Yeah. So like sorcery or fighting fantasy, those sorts of things. Now, choose your own adventure games are really, really hard to make. So I had a chat with somebody an Italian game maker who has been doing them recently and at a convention, and yeah, he was basically saying how much work is required compared to like a normal role-playing game. So we'll see. That would be something for the future. But who knows? Maybe I can come up with a kind of clever way of coming up with something simple that follows similar lines. So, beasts. I don't know what else I need. We need some setting stuff. So we need some world info. Now, beasts and world info are probably. I mean, the beasts are probably going to be relatively setting agnostic. Because you can just reskin the animals that will be in here for Star Wars, for different types of enemies like stormtroopers or whatever, right? So that can be pretty neutral. The world info is going to be completely specific to the mouse bit. The story helpers won't be, but they'll be at the back, easy to find. Yeah, I think we're kind of mostly... I mean, I don't want to have too much in there, so even the introduction might even need to just come out. But the intro is going to be, you know, what you need. That sort of thing. Okay, so I'm going to start laying this out. So we're going to go down here. We're going to put in another page break. And I think after I've got the outline set, I'm going to stop because I'm getting close to the 1 hour mark, and I really want to be strict with not going over that. Okay, so we've got first one is I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be laying this out later, but we're going to call it for now. No, it's fine. We're going to call it 1. Introduction. And I'm just going to come up with a different name for that because I'm not a big fan of words that have more than 2 syllables that aren't necessarily standard vocabulary for young kids. I mean, I could just say something like, let's go. Or, you know, what is this? Or let's play. Let's play! Cheesy, I know. Leave me alone. We're going to go with, let's see about fonts very quickly. This is I said no formatting, but I can't just leave this. It just won't, I just can't do it. I'm not sure about the finger paint. I quite like these ones here. Bit too fancy. Cabin Sketch is quite good as well, especially bold and a little bit bigger. I think we'll go with Cabin Sketch. I'll go with like 32 font, I think. Yeah, that's good. That's a good header. So we're gonna update heading 1 to match that. Okay, so let's play. And it's in there. There we go. I don't know why to do's on its own. Normal text. I can get rid of to do. Okay, so 1. Let's play. Next, we've got. I'm gonna copy this. In fact, just like that, it's going to put a new page break in too. This one's going to be 2 your mouse. This one's going to be 3 the rules. Or we could say how to play. This one's going to be stuff, equipment. See if there's a better word than stuff, because stuff doesn't mean... It means it's a fine word when you're already thinking of the word equipment as an alternative. But if you just look at it on its own, you're not sure what that means. Stuff. This is a chapter about stuff. I love the term trappings because I'm a Warhammer fan. Warframe fan. Gear. Gear doesn't mean much to a kid, though. Your mouse, your stuff. I guess your stuff is maybe a little bit clearer than just stuff. Your mouse, how to play, your stuff. In fact, we're going to change this around a little bit, I think. We're going to call this your mouse. We're going to call this how to play. In fact, we're going to get rid of this. Let's play. We're going to call this enemies. Yeah, rather than beasts. But it's not just enemies, is it? Let's call it I like the term beasts because it's similar to bestiary, which is a role playing term, and I think part of this, I'm gonna put this up here as well, is to teach some principles of role playing. Teach some of the principles of role playing. Also, think about vocabulary, but still to be easy to read for kids. Okay, so that's where like coming up with beasts is like a bestiary. I mean, you can just call it a bestiary with your kids if they're not reading it, so that's fine too. So I'm gonna go up here to there we go. Yep, I like that. That's my header too. So we've got 5 is beasts, 4 is beasts, 5 is the world. I might not even put the yeah. I'm going to leave this solo adventure out for now. I don't think I'm going to want to spend the time to do that. And we're going to say here, what was I calling them? Story helpers? Story helpers. All right. And we're going to very quickly do some hyperlinks. Whoops. Control K. Your stuff. Beasts. Control K. Beasts. The world. Control K. And finally, appendix story helpers. All right. I know I said no layout. Aha, not just for kids. Yeah. I'll pick a better font out later. Or right now, because I'm doing it. And I can't help myself. I do like Roboto. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. Medium. Yeah, italicized. I'm at K. That's my name in there. Yeah. Okay. So I've got like my little design goal page here, which is all good. Keep it in Roboto. Yeah, cool. I'm happy with that. And what's my font size? I mean, this is fine to be 11. we're going to change this to the normal text is, let's go with 12 font. I want this to be small here. This is like little notes. And we're going to call this oh crap, I've changed all my defaults to this. Poop. Alright, subtitle, update to match. Oh man, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to add this as another style. Do up here, format, paragraph styles, options. Don't have the option here to add another one, so this is technically normal text. So if I change my normal text, it's going to change the top there. It doesn't really matter. So the Let's Play is going to have, I'm going to quickly put in here. I'm over time. I'm just hitting the hour mark now. So I'm just going to put in here so I know what it is. This is one that isn't as obvious. This is going to be, you know, this is going to be what is role playing, how to play. So what is role playing? What you need to play, how to play, that's it. Why am I indented? What happened here? Whoa, okay. I'm not sure why this whole thing is indented. I'll have to fix that later. Everything. Huh. That's not right. We're gonna fix that right now. These are the little things that really, really bug me. I don't know if there's a quick way of doing that, so it just resets it to the normal values. I guess you can just do this, take that off, and then put it back on. Yeah, so inspirations. Okay, that's a lot easier. And this one, we're going to take that off, put it back on. Okay, it's indented it properly. Okay, cool. This is now laid out properly. All right, we're good. Okay. How to play. These are the rules. That's it. I want to keep it really short too. So that's how you play. This is, you know, elements of a PC. Character creation. I might be swapping these around. I might put mouse back up the top. Keep it like the Year Zero Mini, which has character creation right at the front. I like having there's the assumption is here is that people don't know what they're doing. So just jumping straight into character creation works for a very lightweight thing, especially for like a beta. But if you want to make it friendly for kids, then you need to add a little bit more, I think. So yeah. Stuff is equipment. Beasts is obviously bestiary. The world is setting information and lots of tables. Setting information, lots of tables. I'm gonna reference here. What's it called again? Yeah, Neverland, which is a new 5th edition book, which I got, which I really like. Lots of tables like Neverland. Tweak setting like Ironsworn. Light, setting information, and truths. like Ironsworn. I really like that. I think that's fine for kids as well. Lightweight more than anything. Yeah, I might look at things like Dungeon World for you know, collaborative world building. These are ideas for now. I'm not sure what exactly what I'm gonna go with. So lots of tables. I'm gonna talk about Midderland as well because I've got that in hard copy. And we're going to talk about light setting information. Truths. That would be Merkborg, which I've just reviewed on Mud and Blood. Merkborg has light information. We're going to be looking at Electric Bastion Land, which has almost all the setting information in the character section, the failed careers section. Fever Swamp, got that as well. Really great evocative tables. So yeah, I'll look at these things as inspiration. I need to make it kid friendly, of course. I'll have a look at Hero Kids. I think Hero Kids has a little bit. Let's have a look at Hero Kids very quickly for their table of contents. Introduction, pint-sized heroes. So also part of the introduction, I guess. A very quick thing about the setting, what you need, how to play the game, how you roll for stuff, what a character sheet looks like, how health and damage. So all the rules are at the front in Hero Kids. How to run an encounter, adventuring, ability tests, exploration. Then you've got creating your heroes, considerations, hints and tips, and a glossary. That's an interesting layout. I'll have to think about that, but changing it around a bit. So it's like, let's play. I could change these things around and not have such strict table of contents and just have it go from like section to section. I think Hero Kids is a little bit too verbose, a little bit too wordy for what I want to create, even though it's all there within 45 pages. You can definitely play it with kids, but I think having read it before, it feels a little bit to me like if you wanted to read it and understand it, it requires a slightly older age, and I think it might even be beyond, like at close to the 10, because you're talking like there's terms in here. Just picking a random page 21. This is version 1.0, of course. Sorry about that. There are words in here like versatile. I'm seeing, which I think some kids at the age of 10 will know, some won't, and that's fine. Like they can learn new vocabulary. That's cool. But like kids who are learning to read, that's absolutely going to be way beyond them. I think. So I just kind of get the impression that this is written with that in mind, but it's not necessarily trying to be at the age where young kids can read it. Actually, I don't think this game should be at where the age that young kids can read it too, but I want every word choice to be chosen such that it doesn't require an adult vocabulary to be able to read it. So that's me done. I'm going to stop now. This is an hour. I've gone with the world, the story helpers. I'm just going to put in here. I'm going to put in here. In fact, we're going to change this to. That's why I need to change this to match. This story helpers are going to be oracles. Oracles / random tables, and basically Ironsworn. For co-op / for co-op and solo play. Right, that's me done. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this now. I don't really mind. So I'm gonna hit the share button here. I'm going to make it so that anybody with the link can comment. Yeah, we're gonna copy that link. We're gonna hit done. And I'm going to stick it straight into the show notes. So those, by the time this is done, it'll be in the show notes. In fact, I'm going to stick it in the show notes right now. The document for review is here. So it's in there. I'm saving it. Boom. So as of, if you're watching this live, which I think there's only one person in my stat block who's currently watching it live. It'll be there now. So I'm going to stop now. So thank you very much for watching. And yeah, if you have any comments about this, leave them in the notes below. But really, I won't say my piece at the beginning. It is what it is. We'll see what I can come up with. I'm hoping it's going to be relatively lightweight and easy to write. And yeah, join me on this journey if you fancy to see about making a lightweight game in a month. And playtest it and stuff as well. I might even be doing some playtesting online. I might even do some solo stuff online with it to test some of that out. But yeah, I'm not going to be touching this. This is going to be hard for me, but I'm setting myself the challenge again of not touching this until tomorrow when I'm streaming. So that is the challenge. Is I don't want this to overtake and butt into the other project I'm working on. So I'm going to be quite strict with that. So the next time I open this, there won't be any touches to this at all. The only thing that might be there are maybe comments if people have been watching it. So that's it for me. Thanks very much for watching. And again, leave some comments if you in the comments of the video below, or leave some comments in the document if you fancy as well. And if you want to watch more of them live, again, I'm keeping them kid friendly, so the chat will be disabled. But if you want to watch them live, hit the subscribe button. Make sure the bell is activated, and when I go live, you'll get a little alert. However you normally get YouTube alerts that I'm going live, and you can come and watch. So that's me. Thanks very much, and catch you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.